Hello and thank you for tuning in to the Rangers Rabble. Before we get to the content, I would just like to let you know about a brand new sponsor that we have, Rangers Pools. For every £1 that you spend, you help support the building of the new Edmiston House. And if you sign up with the code Rangers Rabble Podcast, you're also helping the podcast as well. So, Wilf, I know that you've used Rangers Pools before.
I have indeed, Mark, and I use it every week. I've got two lines on the direct debit. I play every week. It's very easy to navigate. You just go on, make yourself an account, go onto the pools page. You can either do it weekly or, as I do, just with a standing order of numbers. It's from memory. I think it's 10. The first 10 games you think are going to be score draws in the coupon every week. But football's that random. I just said, right, that'll be 10 numbers. That'll be 10 numbers. There's my £2 every week, and let's just see what happens.
We'll see, there you go. So it's dead easy to use. And of course, if you do sign up in the supporter branch agency, if you just put in Rangers Rabble Podcast, you're helping support Rangers, support the building of the new Edmiston House, but you're also helping to support the Rangers Rabble Podcast. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the content. Hello and welcome along to another Rangers Rabble podcast, brought to you in association with CAMS. I'm Martin Douglas, and today I am joined by Derrick McMillan, Scott Cameron and Ross Clark. Guys, thanks for coming along. Derrick, I know you were on the live match reaction last night, so thank you for doing a double shift.
No problem.
One each with St Johnstone in the Cup. We're now out the Scottish Cup. We're out the Betfred Cup, but of course we are still league champions. Cammy, I will come to you first. How are you feeling this morning after the night before?
I think, as I said before we went on, I've went through the sort of emotions last night. Very angry, gutted when I woke up this morning. Sort of worked my way through it. Frustration, to be honest with you. That's the overriding emotion, to be honest with you. We got ourselves into a winning position last night without playing particularly well. Should manage the game, see it through. You're in the heart for the last four. Simple as that. But we shot ourselves in the foot.
Shot ourselves in the foot, Ross. That's twice in cup competitions now this season we've shot ourselves in the foot. We'll come to the game obviously in a wee bit more detail in a wee bit, but and there was a kind of argument in the group chat this morning. Some of us are a bit more angry than others, but I just hope that doesn't start to become a pattern under Gerrard in cup competitions.
I don't think it will. I think, well, I'm saying that you fought last season getting kicked out, and then you fought getting kicked out earlier this season. Maybe that, I don't know, man. I just thought that once we got obviously we've not got our hands on silverware yet, but the elation of winning the league and stuff, I thought that would have spurred us on, and I didn't see any way that we were only going to win the Scottish Cup because of the consistency with which we've played and having that wee bit of fire in the belly, and we've transformed from a team who had no winners to now a team that everybody in it's won something. Do you know what I mean? And took the praise that goes with that. So I was hoping that good feeling would live on for the rest of this season, but obviously it wasn't to be.
I think, Derrick, and you can probably tell by my demeanour today that I'm not in the best frame of mind. I think I had a bit of that, like what Ross is saying there. I assumed that we were just going to go and win the Scottish Cup and make it a double, and obviously we haven't managed that.
Same, to be honest. I honestly thought we played Celtic last week for the right to win the trophy, and to go out in the manner as we did last night was disappointing. I'm kind of like Cammy. I've had a bit more time to reflect on it. I'm feeling a lot better today than I did my depressive state on the live last night. What this team's achieved is nothing short of extraordinary this season, and that come May 15th when I left that trophy, I might feel a bit better. But there was a real chance for us to go on. Winning trophies is a habit, innit? You win one, you should be winning your second, you should be dying to get your third, and just all round disappointment we've not managed to do that. But I mean, it's I seen on Twitter somebody saying it's took the shine off the season. That couldn't be further from the truth. We wanted 55, we've got 55, and once the dust settles, maybe in 3 or 4 days, we'll be thankful for that. But yeah, it's hard to take. It definitely is hard to take.
I don't know if it so much took the shine off the season. I mean, it took the shine off of my bedtime last night. It was a difficult one to go to sleep. Obviously, like you say, once we lift that trophy, that final game of the season, so whatever we lift that trophy, we'll forget about this for the time being. So Ross, where did it all go wrong last night?
It all went wrong with, I thought, the team selection for the start wasn't good. I gave Wright his chance. He's the person who's come on and changed games and looked hungry. We spoke a bit about Hadji and Aribo. Aribo last week playing wide right against Celtic, done the business. Then last night he's back in that midfield three. Mm-hmm. We've spoke about it. I've done 3 or 4 podcasts now, and every time we speak about Aribo being in that 3 and us getting overrun. And St Johnstone were always going to pack the midfield. So I thought we went rang there, and then obviously we've come up against a goalie who was in inspired form. Do you know what I mean? He said the game of his life. And you can't, as much as it pains me to say it because I wanted Rangers to go through, you can't take that away from him. Do you know what I mean? My brother-in-law, he was outstanding. But again, Kamara's got to score. He half-arses the shot, he hits right down Xander's throat. Morelos, a free header 3 yards out of the back post. Xander would have scored it, as he proved later on. Do you know what I mean? Morelos has got to be finishing their chances and no giving them a chance. But I've seen a lot of people saying where it went wrong the day as well. Kane should have been sent off. Witherspoon should have. See, that's all refereeing issues. The issue we had was we should have been Martin Xander. We should have had somebody on the back post. We should have. We were switched off. We thought the game was done when Tav scored, and it came back to bite us on the arse again. Similar to the way it's done in Europe, the games we've lost goals in against St Mirren.
I know we'll come to the referee in a wee minute because refereeing decisions do change games. There's no getting away from that. Yep. But Cammy, like Ross has said there, we had enough chances, and I understand that Xander had a good game, but I've kind of felt as if most of the attempts at him, there was a couple of really good saves, don't get me wrong, but most of the attempts were straight at him.
Listen, they were all saves I would expect a good keeper to make, but to go back to the team selection, I think we had probably planned on Scott Arfield playing as part of the midfield 3. I genuinely don't believe that Hadji and Aribo would have been part of the starting 11. We don't have any other alternative midfield options other than Aribo dropping in there, which we've done to death. But to be honest, we created 3 or 4 gilt-edged chances. Morelos off the post, another time it hits inside the post, it goes in. The header that the keeper has the save. If he goes near post instead of the other way, it goes in. But you've got yourself in the last minute of extra time into a winning position. Great ball in for Aribo, great header for Tav. Manage the game. It shouldn't even be a case of like the goalie comes up for the corner. There's about 4 or 5 incidents prior to that it shouldn't even get to the position where we're defending a corner. It's criminal. And I think the biggest frustration for me is we've got knocked out, but we have made this mistake on multiple occasions. Not just this season, we've done it across the last 2 or 3 seasons, and that for me, for the work that Michael Beale and the performance analysts and everybody does, Ock and Howie, I'm sure that they're analysing that, but ultimately it's players that are responsible for picking up a man, standing on the post, a goalkeeper actually coming off his line and try to take the cross when it comes in. At the end of the day, the manager and the coaching staff can do so much. Players are responsible for what they do and what they don't do on the pitch.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And Derrick, and look, Ross will tell me if I'm wrong here, but Derrick, Xander Clark's 6'3", 6'4",
6,
built 6'6", right? Built like a shit brick house. Why is nobody even attempting to mark him in the middle of the 6-yard box?
No idea.
I just don't understand it.
the only rational thing I can think of is you get your coaching instructions who you're picking up and the goalie's not on it. But for me, that's got to come down to a wee bit of responsibility by Alan McGregor and say, you know what I mean? I know Hollander, you might be down to pick up Chris Kane or whatever it was, or Kane, but you know what? You're our best header of the ball. Go and mark the goalkeeper. He's right in the middle of the goals. It's not as if he's not a threat. So I think maybe it's just a bit of overcoaching. You know, he's not on our plan, so therefore we're going to just leave him. Did McGregor fancy Celtic to win it against them as well? Maybe, I don't know, but there was just, as soon as I seen him going up, you know, and every time a goalie goes up, you're thinking, oh my God, here we go, they're going to cause all sorts of problems. But someone on that pitch has got to take leadership. As soon as that goalkeeper goes over, Tom Colshaw should be out and telling him somebody's marking him, you know, and if that's pulling a guy from somewhere, from staying up or whatever, you just do what you need to do. You're 30 seconds away from going into a Scottish Cup semi-final, you do what needs done. I just think maybe a bit of over-coaching has happened there, or maybe McGregor's fancied himself to win a punch against Zander Clark. But listen, as Ross rightly said, in Scott, and Cammy's mentioned it as well, so I've got Scott in the brain after last night. But it's basically, you know, we shouldn't be conceding corners after Tav scores that header. It's we should be getting the ball off St Johnstone straight from kick-off, and we should be keeping it. And that was a problem for the first whistle last night. We didn't do that well enough. We didn't move the ball. We didn't keep it. We didn't make 3 or 4 passes, unless I'm forgetting something. It just all round wasn't good enough, mate. And to lose that goal was disappointing the way we did. And we can overanalyse all day, but let's be honest about it. We were pretty much rotten from the first whistle to the last whistle, and that's why we are where we are today.
So, Ross, why were we rotten then? Is it just a case of the majority of players had an off day? Did we think we were going to win? What's the reasons do you feel as to why we were awful?
How many off days have we had? I said earlier on, how many off days have we had since we won the league? And McGregor's pulled us out a hole, or McGregor's been man of the match probably 3 or 4 out of the last 6 or 7 games. So that tells me in itself that I know there's going to be a drop off when you win the league and that euphoria, and but especially last week you beat Celtic. You can't tell me that you're no buzzing to go and win the cup for there. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. As I say last night, does it maybe come down to desire? See what we're talking about? We're expecting to go in and win trophies. I said it in the pre-match, the post-match for the St Johnstone game today. They've just off the back of winning a trophy and all. So they had their tails up. They've felt that success of going up at Hampden and collecting a trophy, and it's only a wee tune up there, do you know what I mean? So they'll go down in folklore up in St Johnstone, and I don't know whether they wanted it more than us last night. That's what it seemed like to me watching it.
I said last night, at extra time, it felt like that. I didn't feel that we were going to win at any point, which is probably the opposite of what's felt for the majority of the season. I've always fancied us to get something, but St Johnstone for me were that yard sharper than us, and that's unacceptable.
What summed it up for me is you see the video that's come out today for behind the goal. Chris Kane's 5'10". He's no bigger than me. Barisic is goal side him, and then Kane gets in between Barisic and McGregor, and Barisic and McGregor are that busy trying to wrestle with him that Barisic ends up wrong side him out with the frame of the goals and leaves Kane with a tap in. Why are we even getting involved? Why he's not the biggest player on the park, as you say. Zander's 6'6" standing in the middle of the box, and we've got 2 people wrestling, a wee guy at 5'10" who's not even in the play at that point. I don't understand what we were doing.
Yeah.
I genuinely think complacency is a big issue. I think that there is that attitude that we are just going to walk on the park, and the old adage is you have to do the hard work to actually get the rewards. And I think Derek McInnes, I think it might have been, or there was somebody certainly on the panel last night made reference to working harder off the ball, and I don't think we worked hard enough off the ball to actually make it difficult for a well organised side. Callum Davidson's done a great job, and I think we are a limited resource and what have you. But the only people that will stop Rangers being successful are Rangers and Rangers players. We have the best players. Listen, there's a lot of analysis going on, and this player's no good and that player's no good. The overriding factor is we have the best squad in Scottish football, but our attitude and our application has to be spot on in every game, or we will come unstuck. It's happened. That's happened twice in the two competitions. If you don't work hard and your attitude is, I'm just going to go out in this park and we're going to do the business. There's too many players are already, without naming, there's too many players have already switched off and they're actually lying on the beach at the end of the season. You know, and that has been since the 6th of March, 7th of March, whatever date it was. You know, it's and I think the manager's going to have some hard conversations, I think, to have, because I think there's a few of them I think will need to come back pre-season and show that they actually want to be Rangers players and Rangers starting players.
I completely agree. And Derek, is there a worry now that if that kind of form continues and we maybe scrape a couple of 1-0 wins, we maybe even get beat or draw going into the end of the season? And we've seen it happen before with other teams in other leagues, that form carries into next season.
I mean, it is a worry, right? Of course it is. You know, it's a possibility that we could lose. You know, it's hard games that we've got in the running. However, it should be enough to lift us, the fact that we can go for an undefeated season. We've got Celtic on Sunday, so if they can't go up for it, then there's something wrong there. It doesn't matter if you're playing them for a meaningless game or a cup final, you should be treating it the same. I just think that we've seen last night when Arfield and Jack are missing, we lack a bit of aggressiveness, we lack a bit of depth as well. And I know Aribo didn't work in there, but I mean, who else could we have played there? You know, there was no one available for me to play there. So I think in the summer, Gerrard's got a few difficult conversations with players because, you know, to chuck your hand in March, like Cammy saying, it's not acceptable at a club like ours. And 1 out of 9 trophies isn't acceptable. And it's not just 1 out of 9, it's 1 out of however many when we were down the league. So Gerrard, the good thing is Gerrard knows that. Gerrard's post-match press conference, he said that. He'll not accept it. He'll not accept people taking days off. And I'm sure he'll sort it in the summer. And he'll sort it by signing 3 or 4 players who are fit to start and are fit to play every game in the same manner the likes of Davis and Goldson and the likes do. That's the level we need to get to now. We need to make sure that every game we've got the strongest team available that can compete on all fronts, because evidently we fell short. Again, we've won the league, perfect, brilliant, but we fell short and compete on all fronts. You know, we probably should have got to the last 8 of the Europa. We should have won the League Cup. We should have won the Scottish Cup, and we haven't. So that needs to be our thoughts in the summer to go and rectify that.
The worry for me is it took us 9 years to build up a winning mentality and go and get our hands on silverware, and then right away that confidence is knocked again. Because if you'd have went to win the next cup, then you've got 2 and you're on a roll. Then you know yourself, if it's like snooker, innit? You've got 2 balls and then you're confident going for the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and your confidence builds. So we've got the confidence of winning the cup, the league, and then we've went back to being labelled bottles again, because that's what happened last night. That's what happened.
Aye, we did bottle it. 100%. And Cammy, I understand what Derrick's saying there about, you know, like we're playing Celtic on Sunday, you know, going for an undefeated season, we should be up for it. But if we can't get up for a cup, what chance have we got of the players getting up for the rest of the season?
It's a very good point, but we have to finish the season strongly. You know, I am a great believer in that.
In my opinion, Cammy, we had to win the Scottish Cup.
Of course, you know? Listen, but again, I'll go back to my last point about complacency. I think the players thought they had already won the Scottish Cup. You know, I think you still have to go out and win the games. You still have to go out and put the effort in against a side that are battling for another cup success. You know, listen, we should, but again, it's about what we do and how we approach the game. And the players didn't approach the game. The subs, by and large, I think Wright done okay when he came on, but you know, it's we caused their own problems in the game against St Mirren and in the game last night against St Johnstone.
How much credit, I suppose, Derrick, and we don't like to give credit to other teams, but how much credit has to go to St Johnstone for last night?
So a lot of credit. I've not seen a well coached team, Ibrox, this season. The way they played that 3-5-2, which is like a 5-3-2, was, you know, for a born coach like me, it was a joy to watch. You know, nothing we done changed them. You know, they stuck to their guns and they played their football. Now, you could probably argue it's lack of football, but to be fair to them, you can only work with the tools you've got. And Callum Davison, you know, got a great tune out of them last night. And so far this season, I honestly think Callum Davison's got a decent career ahead of him. You know, I think he'll continue to do well at St Johnstone for another year or so, and I think he'll get a decent move. I'd actually quite fancy him to, you know, go to Hearts or something like that next, if Robin Nielsen will evidently get the sack in October. But I just think that they were well coached, they were well drilled. I love how industrious they are. Ali McCann works his socks off. Liam Craig, who I have zero time for, was strolling about that part last night as if he was Zidane, which annoyed me. But we allowed that. So if I can flip that and say St Johnstone were organised, they stuck to their task, great to watch. In terms of a coaching point of view, I knew they were going to play like that. You know they were going to play like that. So therefore, Michael Beale and Gerrard must have known they were going to play like that. And for me, we didn't combat it well enough. You know, we could have done so much more. Everything was in front of them. That allowed them to be narrow. It allowed them to be compact. What we wanted to do is get midfielders moving all over the place so that McCann and that had to get dragged out, and Liam Craig, because they're not the most intelligent of football players. Maybe I'm being harsh, right? They're hard-working, good pros, but when you give them something to think about, they tend to make mistakes. Same with the defence. And we just didn't do that. So, on one hand, I'm saying Callum Davison done a great job, but on the other hand is, we're Rangers, we're at Ibrox. Doesn't matter what they play. They can play 4-3-3, 6-4-0. I don't give a shit, to be honest. We should be better in every department, and we weren't, and that's what it comes down to.
Ross, you've seen St Johnstone obviously more than any of us. Did the performance last night surprise you, or was that something that you would have expected for them?
No, I said that last week that they would fancy their chances. If we got caught cold at all, then St Johnstone could beat us. St Johnstone, they're a good side, and they're a good side with a nucleus of young Scottish boys. Do you know what I mean? You've got the three centre halves, McCart, Kerr, Gordon, three young Scottish boys that have all played together now for a year, 2 years, with Xander in behind them. Then, as Derek says, you've got Liam Craig and Ali McCann, Ali McCann, I've said it before, I posted on Twitter last night as well. Ali McCann's somebody we should be looking at, because he plays in the Northern Ireland team alongside Davis. And as you say, he's somebody that will make that run. He'll make that penetrating run. He's like an Arfield, but he'll control the ball. He'll control the midfield. They've got a good side. And I know that he never started last night, but in the boy Kane as well, they've got somebody that's a willing runner who can hold the ball up all day long for them. Don't get St Johnstone are a good side, and as you say, I get to watch them a lot, and you don't want to on a Rangers podcast say St Johnstone are a good side, but we're a better side. That's what it comes down to. We're a better side with better players all the park, and there's no excuse for us. I said it would take for them to be exceptionally good and us to be underperforming, and that's what happened last night, and that's what happens in a cup competition. You get there complacent, you don't play 100%. The Weir team does, and you get your pants pulled down in front every day, and then before you know it, you're a laughing stock again, because now people are saying we're bottlers.
What age is Ali McCann, Ross?
21, I think, at the most.
Aye.
See, for me, I would. There's been the usual talk about Lewis Ferguson in the last few days. I would take McCann over Lewis Ferguson every day of the week. You know, I think there's more industry in McCann than you get for Ferguson, in my opinion.
He just turned 21 in December there. Sorry, I just did a look. Just turned 21 in December.
I think he's got all the attributes to be a top player. You know, he's confident in the ball, he's fit, box to box. Probably a bit too soon for him. You don't want to. We're talking about bringing in players 4 or 5 in the summer that can start. Is Ali McCann going to start? Probably not. But we definitely should be keeping tabs on him. There's no doubt about it. If he keeps going the way he's going, there's no reason why he can't. I mean, look at Scott Arfield, who's been a fantastic player for us. He started at Falkirk. You know, everyone's got to start somewhere. Yep. You can't just say, "Oh, he's playing well for St Johnstone," so we just forget about him. Because some of our greats have came from teams like St Johnstone. So I would definitely be keeping tabs on him. He's got all the attributes, and nobody will know him better than Stephen Davis then. Yeah. So hopefully they're already doing it.
Yeah, I think the likes of next season, if you were to get him in the summer, you have to give Davis another year. See if we've done what we've done with Scott Wright, bulk him up, get him to learn the shape. You would have a year where he could come in and out the team sporadically, whenever Davis needs a rest or Kamara needs a rest, or you could bring him in sporadically. But I'll tell you one thing, in a team with better players, I reckon he would be a standout. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying he would come and sit on the bench for a full season, the boy. That's how highly I rate him.
Well,
What's
Derek,
that we
Derek, the whole, before you answer that, Ross, right, Derek, if Ali McCann was at Rangers yesterday, would he have played in that game?
And Aribo would be further forward now. Yep, 100%.
Nah, so that would have solved that problem. So let's just sign him. Fuck it.
But then you need to flip that and go.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want to stunt the boys' development, because if Jack's fit and Arfield's fit, he isn't start.
But also in his current form, current age, current development, if he was in that Rangers team, would he get his fair share of games?
Well, it was evidently so, because we needed a midfielder last night. Well, Jack's injury prone, unfortunately. Davis is 36 now, I think. It's 37 coming up.
Yeah.
I think we set 36, 37 in January or something like that. Anyway, so we need to be looking at replacements. Now, would I be happy if Davis left and Ali McCann came in for the start of next season? Probably not. But, there's no harm in, like Ross said, bring him in. I mean, I think I could learn to play centre mid after Stephen Davis, you know what I mean? So a guy that's already an international player is only going to benefit from being about the club. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much it would cost. I can't see it being that much, yeah?
No, I would. Well, no.
No, I don't even know. So he's definitely a cheaper option than Lewis Ferguson.
Oh,
Still a better all-round player at this moment than Lewis Ferguson for me. He's doing things. He's finishing top 6 with St Johnstone. He's won a cup. Hopefully, he might go and win another one. So he's doing better than Lewis Ferguson at this moment in time for me. So he's a full international as well. So, definitely, mate. I think definitely we keep tabs on him.
Personally, for me, and listen, if we end up signing Lewis Ferguson, then I'll support him as a Rangers player, 100%. I don't want Lewis Ferguson anywhere near our club. I don't like the type of player that he is. I don't appreciate the type of player that he is.
Right, I get that, right? But that's the player you love to have in your team.
Oh, no, listen, I get it for that point of view. Yeah, I get it for that point of view.
We've not got that.
Aye, but we sign Lewis Ferguson, and I guarantee he gets more red cards than Alfredo Morelos.
Well, maybe, but I think we lack a bit of steel at the moment.
Oh, totally lack steel. But we need a player with steel with intelligence, and I don't think Lewis Ferguson's got that.
I think Ali McCann has got that intelligence. He positions himself quite well. You never see him diving in rash, but he makes a lot of interceptions and stuff.
Loved his tackle when someone was nearly through last night. No, I didn't love it. I hated it. It was a great tackle. You're talking about midfielders that can do both, and he certainly can.
Mm-hmm.
He does the doggies. He's good on the ball, and he can go back the way and forward. So listen, I think he's a good player. He's good in anything in the league out with Rangers for me. So certainly should be. You don't want him going elsewhere and losing him, because if he goes down south and he has a good season. And I'm not putting him in the same bracket as McGinn, but then you're never going to get players like that. You're talking 20, 30 million if they make 10 appearances in the Premiership, aren't you? So, listen, it'd be daft to let him go without at least, inquiring about him. Price has got to be right, and you want to make sure you don't stunt his development, but he's definitely a player that I would be looking at.
I think that we've signed the boy in the pre-contract for Bournemouth, which is he's a midfield player. I'm at the stage now that I'd almost don't consider Aribo as one of a midfield 3 option. Aribo plays. Mm-hmm. So, in my opinion, I'm not saying Ali McCann is going to turn us into winning the Champions League, but you bring him in and another midfield player, mm-hmm. and almost say, right, Aribo, the wide right position is the only position that I consider you playing, and you make sure that you have Jack, Kamara, Davis, Arfield, McCann, for example, and one other as 5 strong midfield options that can play across the 3 positions for me. But one of the 2 signings in the summer has to be a starting number 8. I've said this for months and months and months, and it has to be a top priority. I know it'll depend on which players leave. I think Kamara, there's a distinct possibility he could be one of the departures. Yeah. So if he leaves, then you're in a position where you potentially need more, But with regard to Aribo for me is part of the front 3 and nowhere else.
100%.
Put it this way: see if Kamara goes for decent money, which he will. If he goes, it'll be decent money. There's no denying that. Yeah. You bring in McCann plus the other, for half the money. you'd probably be quite happy with that, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Not that we want Kamara to go, but that's just reality of it. Someone's leaving. It has to happen.
I think as well, you look at the age of the midfielders we've got. You've got Jack, who's a bit injury prone, touching 30. Arfield, early 30s. You've got Davis, who's now, this will probably be the last year or maybe a push another year after that. So you're going to bring in a young boy at 21 who's going to learn the formation, grow into being a Rangers player, if you were interested. But you know what, as well, we're talking about Aaron McCann here because he's somebody that we see on a weekly basis. Well, I see him on a weekly basis anyway, but Ross Wilson could know somebody who's double the player Aaron McCann is playing in the Sudan League or something, do you know what I mean? And we just don't know about him yet. That's because, to be fair, the recruitment's been spot on, and I would trust whoever it is that this club decide to bring in, because the recruitment's been really, really, really strong.
So on that point, right, I just seen Cammy talk to someone on Twitter there before I come on. Now you're saying the recruitment is strong, and the guy's speaking sense here. Not one of the signings we made last season is good enough to get in the starting 11 at the moment.
I know, by the way, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? And I'd honestly never thought about that. Now, again, me being the guy, I can argue both sides. I like to sit in the fence. We needed squad depth, and that's what we got. Boys like Roof and guys have come in and done a great job at coming off the bench and playing when Morelos, etc. are not available. But the guy's spot on. We've not signed someone that you go, he's starting, 100% starting. And that's what we need to do this summer. We need to sign 3 or 4 that are going to, take the position of Stevie Davis, off Hollander, and go and be the number 5, the number 6, or whatever it is. And that's where we need to evolve this season before we get our Champions League.
What Derrick was referring to. I mean, I think my response to the guy's point was all the players have contributed massively across the course of the season, but every single player in our first choice starting 11 can be upgraded, and that is the job that Ross Wilson and the recruitment team have now and moving forward. Whether it's the best player in the team or somebody that is hanging in there as part of the starting 11, we should always be looking to get better, and that's the challenge that Ross Wilson has. And I think Ross nailed it with regard to, we're talking about players that we're seeing. Ali McCann's obviously topical because you've watched him, and he looks a promising player. But equally, Ross Wilson will have scouted players and have a dossier of available options that might be. The thing that I like about the guy is that he will know the league, which I think is sometimes a factor as well, But aye, that's my thoughts on that one. We just need to always be trying to get better.
So I was going to go back to the game a wee bit. I don't know if I want to, but I think we will. Ross, I know. Every time I was getting all happy about the transfer talk and Ross Wilson and what positions we need, and then the fucking game last night floats back into my head. Ross, refereeing performance last night. Derrick mentioned it on the live reaction last night. It sounds like sour grapes when you get beat. But I thought the referee was absolutely dreadful. Do you know how bad it is? I've not watched the game back, which you really should when you're doing podcasts, so that you can inform people of tactics and decisions. I can't even remember the boy's name who should have been sent off. Witherspoon. There you go. Should have been sent off. There was a umpteen other decisions that he made that were baffling for both sides. That's the kind of thing that can go and spoil a game.
I thought Witherspoon's, he's reckless. He's got a straight leg. That's
the one. How did I forget?
With a straight leg, and Hadji actually does great to be able to get out of the way without getting his leg caught. At Spoonie, I wouldn't say is that kind of player, having watched him, but in that occasion, he's been rash. It's, a sending off. I think Rooney at the back post, the cross comes in, gives Buff a wee shove when he's going to maybe header one in, which should be a penalty, and he's not made a conscious effort to play the ball. Is that a red card?
Do you know, I don't even know what that rule is anymore. They keep changing the rule every 5 minutes.
No, you need to play a valid attempt at the ball, so it would have been a red card.
You've also got the one where Kano's been booked and he absolutely smashes Goldson on the halfway line in extra time and doesn't get a second booking, and then he goes on to score the goal that eventually takes him. So that there was, as I say, you say it sounds like sour grapes, shoulda, woulda, coulda. At the end of the day, the referee never gave us a decision, but we got ourselves into a position where we shouldn't have lost the game. So I don't think, obviously I sound as if I'm blaming the referee, but he made poor decisions, I felt, but no ones that the referee never cost us a game last night. Our inability to show up and perform did, is what I'm trying to say.
No, the referee never cost us a game last night, Derek, but if Witherspoon's sent off, and by the way, Ross, I've only seen him play a handful of times, I don't like the guy. Can't stand him, right? I'm just being honest with you, I can't stand him. I just think, never mind. Anyway, if he's sent off there, Derek, that completely derails St Johnstone's whole game plan, work ethic.
Why? Yes, I mean, if the referee does his job, they're probably down to 8 men last night because Alan McCann should have been sent off. He pulled one of Rebel's shots, didn't receive a booking, then played a tackle 5 minutes later, got booked again. So, listen, you're right. There were so many things were wrong. The referee, it's not sour grapes when you highlight it. You know, even when you win, the referees in Scotland's not been good enough this year. Or many years, but if we can just talk about this year, St Johnstone lose a player, they lose the energy, they lose their shape, and we probably go and take control of the game. But to be honest, we should have done that with 11 aside anyway. So
yeah, we should have.
Always looking at us and looking in the way, but you can still highlight the fact the referee wasn't good enough. He got the big decisions wrong, and even at my low level of football, you're taught get the big things right, and you usually get away with it. And you can take that into the professional game, and he didn't get the big things right, and therefore he's been criticised, and rightly so.
I don't know if you want to add to that, Cammy, before we kind of go into a wee bit of individual performances, but if you've got anything to add to the refereeing performance, I really need to stop myself sometimes before I say things. If you've got anything to add to that, fire away, my friend. Just a shake of the head, no. All right, okay then. Fair enough, that'll do. Right, obviously it's difficult to go into the players individually because pretty much every single one of them had a honker. And I don't want to sound like I'm picking on this guy, Cammy, but I have noticed over the last maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks, Borna Barisic, we don't seem to be getting anything from him. His delivery last night, again, was poor. There was a couple of decent deliveries, right? But you expect that for a Croatian international. But his delivery's been poor. His work rate doesn't seem to be up there. He doesn't, and he looks void of confidence, I suppose, is the best way to put it.
Potentially not devoid of confidence, but I think he's probably subconsciously aware that he has a Euros coming up in the summer, and I think he is. I'm not saying he's not trying, but I think he's probably managing his effort for the remainder of the season. I don't believe he will be there next season. I think he probably already knows that he won't be there next season. So I don't know subconsciously if that's that's having an impact. The one thing in the game last night, I thought we reverted back to past mistakes where we got the ball wide, throw crosses in, got the ball wide, throw crosses in, and it was almost like it brought back a lot of bad memories to last season, where we weren't shown the sort of invention and the guile to break it through. And over the course of this season, we have found different ways to win. But I thought at points last night, we were just getting the ball wide, firing in crosses and hoping that something was going to happen. And the delivery, I think we spoke about it. By and large, I don't think the delivery was good enough from both sides of the park. But Borna's one of the ones that I think certainly since the league title was clinched, his levels have dropped dramatically.
Has that, Derek, got anything to do possibly? And I want to stick up for Borna because he's a Rangers player. I think he's a fantastic player, and I love him. Has his performances got anything to do with Tavernier being injured?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, they are definitely better as a kind of double-pronged attack. I do agree with that. I think teams are almost man-marking him, though. I think teams are making it more difficult. I mean, see, try to get space in that 5-3-2 last night in the wide areas when you've got Rooney running at you like a stolen motor. It's difficult. And Scottish players are kind of maybe not the most technical, but I tell you what, they're grafters. And you need to earn every inch you get on that football pitch. And for me, Rooney's a big honest pro that's, not going to make life easy. And I think the league's full of them. So there's a bit of people know how to play against them for me. A bit of tactical awareness of the teams that stop the ball going to him. And also when they get it, they're right on him. They don't give him that yard. He's not a winger. He's not going to drop the shoulder and get away from people. He needs that yard of space to put that pinpoint delivery in. So it has dropped a bit. There's a few reasons for that, and one of them could be Tav. But for me, it's more the teams they're man-marking fullbacks. Fullbacks are not used to dealing with that, and it's hard to get away. He's not got the athleticism that Tav has to get away from that. But it's just a few things. But I agree with Cammy. I also think that Borna will be the one to go next year. You know what? For me, it leaves a Rangers legend in my eyes. Any player that's won that league for us this year is a legend. He stuck about. He could have probably left before now, and he didn't. He stuck it out, and he's got his reward. So, he's Croatia's number one left back. He'll go to the Euros and he'll start. He's a great player that's just maybe having a bit of dip in form. That happens to everyone.
Oh, it does. And last night, Ross, as well, Ryan Kent. I don't know if this is fair to say. It was a typical wingers performance last night. There was a couple of moments from him where he was, like Derrick said about wingers, he was dipping the shoulder, he was running at defenders, but just for the majority of the night, things just didn't seem to be coming off for him. He was receiving passes and the ball was going under his feet. He wasn't really beating a man. And the thing I've always said about Ryan Kent is he never stops trying. But just maybe last night just wasn't his game.
For Big Rooney was just too big an obstacle for him. As Derek says there, he never had space to knock the ball by him and run. So see when Rooney's standing on the wing and you're trying to go by him and you've got a right-sided centre half standing in there as well, there's no space to go on either side. And it's at that point there where I'm looking for maybe Scott Wright on the other side, somebody that's going to have a bit of jiggery pokery that can help disrupt the defences and maybe switch wings and stuff. We never got that through Hadji. Hadji for me last night stifled a lot of our play because these spaces weren't getting opened up. So Johnson never bothered their arse with Hadji because Hadji didn't look a threat for me. So I think when we've got our front three and you saw it last week against Celtic, Aribo, Kent, Morelos, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of people don't know who to mark. Last night Kent was stuck out on the left, Morelos was fighting with three centre halves, and you had Hadji on the right who I didn't really think offered the Zenton. So I think that stifled Kent's play as well.
No, that's a fair shout. And actually, Cammy, somebody who's been brought up quite a lot since last night's game, some of it fair, some of it a bit unfair in my opinion, is Kmart Roof. I'll just, what did you think his performance, and what do you make his performances over the last kind of 3, 4, 5 games?
Well, just over the course of the season, I think he had a really hot spell, probably 6-8 weeks before Christmas. I think when Morelos wasn't playing at his best, I think he's been in and out with injuries, and I think it shows. He doesn't look anywhere near the sort of level that he gave us earlier in the season. He's made a couple of poor decisions with regard to game management that's certainly contributed in the last two games against St Johnstone. But I think he's a player that I referred to Gerrard having conversations. I think he needs a full pre-season. And he needs to hit the ground running next year, which I know will be difficult because he's obviously suspended for the Champions League qualifiers. But there is a part of me wonders if interest came from down south, if it was a bit of an acceptable size, if we would consider moving him on, because over the course of the season he's done okay, but I expected more from him.
I think what sums up Kemar Roof in Scotland for me is the way he comes onto the park. The first game he came in and he had fucking essentially Nokia 3310s down his legs instead of shin pads, and his socks rolled away down to his ankles. And the first thing I said watching it was, fuck, that'll not last long. He'll need to get real size shinnies and stuff on up here. He'll get kicked fuck out of. See now, he's still cutting about like that. He went to take a penalty last night and I said it on Twitter. It looked like a wee boy that had lost his PE kit. Jumper all hanging off him, socks all around his ankles. He looks to me like somebody who, if you know yourself, you're playing against your hatchet men in Scottish football, you would be prepared for that. And it gives me the impression that he doesn't want to get stuck in. Do you know what I mean? It looks to me as if there's a 50-50 and he's gone in for it with a Lewis Ferguson or a player, is he going to go in full-blooded when he's not even got the right protection on? I don't care what anybody says. The shin guards is playing with a size Sundico, they're about that size. That fucking SIM card.
Derek, your thoughts on Kemar?
I think it's a player that's been blighted by injury this season. Has not really got a good run going. I don't see any worries about him in terms of quality. He scored some big goals. I just think he's been interrupted and not really got a flow. He did, as Cammy said, before Christmas, and he scored some vital goals for us. Benfica, one at couple at Motherwell, a couple at Ibrox against Motherwell. He's been a big player. He's not performed well since that last injury for me. I think he needs a proper pre-season. He needs a good 6 to 8 weeks of not getting any injuries. He's probably not in my first 11 anymore. I'd say Aribo probably plays now right wing before him, which I would not have thought of maybe November, December time. But we are where we are. He needs to lift levels if we want to achieve what we want to achieve next season. But you could probably say 6 or 7 are the same. So I'm not overly worried about Roof at the moment. I just think he needs a good pre-season and hit the ground running in August, and I think we'll see the benefits of that. If Morelos leaves and he's a number 9, I'm probably slightly worried. But I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt and get him a run of games first before I put him in the bin.
On individual performances, Cammy, if we've spoken about the players enough, let's speak about the manager. How much blame do Steven Gerrard and his backroom team take for that defeat last night?
At the end of the day, the players, they've put the players on the park, but I do think that wasn't the starting 11 that they would have wanted to set up. I don't think that would have been the plan when he's rested players during the week. I blame the players for not seeing the game out, rather than criticising the manager and the coaching staff. To be honest with you, the players on the park haven't played well enough and haven't seen the game through. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not throwing the gaffer under a bus.
No, it's not about throwing him under the bus, Ross. It's about saying, look, was there anything he could have done differently last night? Any mistakes that he made last night, for example, taking Morelos off?
I think one of the mistakes we made was taking 7 bodies out the team during the week, to be honest with you. I felt as if all season we've been at our best when we've played Thursday, Sunday. So we'd had a few weeks off there where it was sporadic games, and then this cup competitions came in, and we've really come off a slope with our performances. And I thought that there was a chance there to go Celtic, St Johnstone, Celtic, 4 games in 2 weeks, and just keep the right team, keep it going through, and get that momentum back up again and finish the season strong. So I thought right away that was something that he might have got wrong during the week. Last night for me, no, we're talking about people coming in the summer and proving they've got what it takes to be a Rangers player and seeing pathways to the first team and that. For me, the boys, I'm going to go back to him again. The boy Scott Wright's done everything that we could ask from the last few weeks, and he still can't get a start. He can't get a start when it matters, and we're playing people who have maybe not been at the top of their game. Last night, when we bring on Roof for Morelos, again, we're bringing on somebody who we've spoke about on the podcast is maybe not at the top of his game. His touch has not been in it, and we're taking that for best chance of a goal to bring him in. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to be critical of Gerrard because 9 times out of 10, or look at 36 times out of 36 this season in the league, he's picked the right team and done the right things. But twice in cup games we came unstuck. So it is a worry.
It is. And so, Derek, look, final word to you. It's been a bit of a depressing podcast, this, isn't it? Final word to you on the management. Just in last night's game, look, just because you criticise the management for one game doesn't mean you're criticising the management for a full season, I think. And I'm not going to go into it. But, you know, some of the reaction on Twitter last night, I think, was a bit outrageous. Some of the comments directed towards some people were completely out of line. So just because you have an opinion on one game doesn't mean that's your full opinion on the whole fucking season. But sorry, Derek, on to you. Last point, mate, about the management. And could you have done anything different last night?
Yes, he could have. He could have done something different. He could have, as Ross 100% said, football's momentum. For me, the team should not have been changed that much on Wednesday night. We should have went up there, got a good 2 or 3 win, set our stall out, took them back to Ibrox, maybe made 1 change, 2 changes, whatever, and go and done the business. They've enough rest in their legs to do that. For me, we are better when we're playing constantly, and we're almost at a limit. You know, we seem to perform better when we're at a limit. He shouldn't have took Morelos off. For me, you never take a goal scorer off the pitch when you need one. It's not as if he was playing badly. I'd missed a couple of chances, but he was getting in the right positions, and his hold-up play was excellent. That totally went when he went off. I think his hands was forced on the Aribo decision because we had no one else to play, so I can't really criticise that too much. But for me, probably Wright should have started instead of Hadji. So we put all them together. I'm saying, aye, he could have done something different. Let's be honest here, he's got it more right than wrong this season. He's improving as a manager. Sorry, my dog's gone mental in the background. Cutting that bit out. He's because it's lunchtime for him. He could have played right, and he could have got the substitutions right. But listen, Gerrard's delivered for us this season, big style. He's still got a wee bit more leeway in the tank, but it's a big summer. For me, it's just a bigger summer this year as it was last year. We need to get recruitment spot on again, and we need to go and hammer home the advantage that we've got for Celtic and make sure we win 56.
Yeah, well, listen, we better finish up there before your dog bites your leg off.
Mate, he's been so patient. I can't handle him.
Derrick, Ross, Cammy, guys, listen, thanks very much. Thank you for listening. If you managed to make it all the way to the end and you're watching on YouTube, like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. I didn't want to make it as depressing as what it turned out to be, but unfortunately, when you're losing a cup game that you expect to win, it's obviously going to sound depressing. We'll be back later on in the week with our Friday podcast, which will look ahead to the Celtic game, and of course we will have live match reaction after that Celtic game. So thank you for everybody who's tuning in, and we shall speak to you very, very soon.